back to normal. But before we get started with everything, we do have a special guest. She's joining us from Fox Sports FL, the Rays sideline reporter and host, Tricia Whitaker. Welcome back to the show. How you doing, Tricia? How are you?
How are you?
Good. We are fantastic. Welcome back to the show. Thanks for joining us.
Are you sipping? Hold on. Are you sipping out of your mug?
My dugout mug, yes.
Dugout mugs. Oh, I love those. I gave mine to my dad.
See, Dugout Mugs is actually one of our affiliate sponsors, so they gave us these special Rays mugs. Yes.
That's awesome.
Mine's hiding.
Yeah.
Oh, they are wonderful. They are wonderful over there. So.
And we're also sipping out of our partner, our $3 beer.
You know what? Hold on. I feel very left out. Give me a second.
See, this is why we get the best guests. Look at that.
That's totally right.
Participation is key.
Okay, it's so not classy, but it's one of my favorites. No one.
Oh, there you go.
Is that some Schlitz malt liquor? Okay, we got.
There we go.
Okay. Chip, I'm drinking $3. Our partner, $3 Florida Orange IPA, which you can see right there. I think you're drinking the Rod Bender. Is that what you're drinking?
I am.
Ooh,
good Indian ale, very nice. They got a fish they're bringing up here on the can. Makes me want to get out in the ocean and do some fishing.
I know. We will be there this weekend celebrating my birthday, so we will be starting off there this weekend on Saturday.
962 years old. Way to go. Look great.
Even though you're older than I am, but that's quite all right. So, Tricia, thanks for coming on the show again.
Of course.
We wanted to get into the Rays opening weekend. We're going down to Miami to play the Miami Marlins. But how has been the experience so far in spring training? I know it's kind of going back to semi-normalcy. You're going back to the games, even though you're interviewing players with a huge plastic divider. So how have been things down in Port Charlotte?
You mean plexiglass in my own fishbowl? Yes, that is accurate.
Yes.
It has been, let me put it this way. Last year was wonderful in terms of the Rays' success, but terrible in terms of being able to actually do my job. This year, it's like 5 steps above terrible. It's actually like mediocre, So I never thought I would be so happy to do an interview through plexiglass or a mask. I mean, seriously, I showed up and they had this plexiglass set up. I mean, God bless the grounds crew and everybody at Port Charlotte, because they literally constructed this just so I could do interviews with the guys in person, even though it was through plexiglass.
Did you almost feel like the Pope in the Pope Mobile? Because remember he had the huge plexiglass thing and he used to ride around in that. So people were
honored that you think I'm as special as the Pope. I mean, wow.
The Pope of our Rays.
Yes, exactly.
That's what we think.
No, it's been weird, but honestly, like the PR staff and everybody has been amazing in helping coordinate everything. As of right now, I'm not traveling like I normally do with the team. Hopefully that'll change at some point during the season, but that all depends on MLB protocols. So it's been weird, but the guys have a lot of fun, like tapping on the glass in the middle of the game and like holding up signs through the glass or something. So it's actually been pretty entertaining. But yeah, I'm thankful that I can at least see them in person through plexiglass.
I want to give you some huge props, and I did not know that you could sing like the voice of this generation when you sung the national anthem.
So many comments, too.
Good for you. You did great.
Bravo.
Don't be embarrassed. You did fantastic.
You know what, though? Can you imagine a scenario more somewhat mortifying than watching yourself on a Jumbotron sing the national anthem while you are standing there behind the team? Like that it was just a mortifying experience, right? So I'm just like, oh my gosh, this I'm about to hit, it's not going to be good. Please God, let it be better than I think it was going to be. But it was fun. I used to sing, I used to do musical theater, so it's my hobby.
Did they do that in one take with you, or did you like maybe do that a couple times?
Come on. No.
One take, Tricia. That's what I think.
I had some podcast equipment, just like I'm looking, literally the same thing you guys are using. And I probably taped it about 6 times. I'm not gonna lie. It shows the best out of 6. So, and then I also did "Oh Canada" and "God Bless America." So those will be playing at some point at the Trop.
Oh, multifaceted, ladies and gentlemen, knows all the words to everything.
Terrifying.
Gotta crack one open, Chip. Give me 1 second.
No, go ahead, buddy. Well, what do you think? I mean, Tricia, today we saw Waka and Reed did fairly well, ended the season on a high note. What do you think about the free agent pitchers, Waka, McHugh, some of those guys we brought over? How do you think they've done so far?
So there's obviously, I mean, and the Rays have said this over and over again, there's no replacing Blake Snell and Charlie Morton. Let's not even talk about trying to replace them. That's not even a conversation that anybody should be having because you can't, right? That's Blake Snell and Charlie Morton. However, this group of guys that they have, they are very talented. And you mentioned Cody Reed. I know that, he's coming out of the bullpen, but he's a guy during spring training. We didn't get to see him a lot last year, right? Because of his pinky issue. He came over, halfway through the weird season. But he was really impressed in spring training. And I think in terms of the bullpen, at least, Andrew Kittredge, I felt like put it best the other day. He goes, we're just as good as last year, if not better. And I was like, oh, that lights a fire because they were amazing last year, right? Obviously, losing Nick Anderson is really, really tough. However, you've got some arms in that bullpen. In terms of the starters, there's so much to be determined with that, right? So, you've got the always reliable Ryan Yarbrough, not going to wow you with his stuff necessarily, but he's reliable. He gets the job done. Then you've got, obviously, Tyler Glass now. Chris Archer. It'll be interesting to see this year how he rebounds from a couple of tough years with the Pirates. But from what I've heard from Kevin Cash and the coaching staff and Kyle Snyder and Zunino is that, he's looking really good. So, and in spring training, he looked fine. Yeah. So, and Rich Hill, only 41 years old.
King of the curveball.
Right.
King of the curveball and king of the innings, this guy.
And I think that he brings – so here's I know this is really cliche, but I really do feel that it's important to have that veteran presence in the clubhouse, especially on the pitching staff, because that is what you lost in Charlie Morton. And obviously their stuff matters on the mound, but those players will tell you one of the reasons the Rays were so good last year and the year before that is because of what they had in the clubhouse. And I think having Rich Hill, a 41-year-old who has been there, done that. I mean, I interviewed him the other day and I'm like, you're a little bit of a tough interview because you don't take any BS. You don't take BS. You don't have time for nonsense. You shoot it straight. So yeah, I think they're going to be good. I'm hesitant to say how good because obviously we don't know how they're. Yeah. Especially Chris Archer is a little bit of the wild card, but I'm optimistic. I think they'll be good.
I was going to say, with interviewing Rich Hill, who has probably one of the greatest nicknames in all of baseball, which I don't. Do you know what his nickname is, Tricia?
I actually don't know what you're referring to. I might know, but I don't know.
So Google it, and then you'll find out. Google his nickname.
You're not going to tell her? I want to see a reaction here.
Okay,
well, that's why I'm Googling it. I'm a little nervous here.
Oh, okay. I figured
I'll just say
tell her and
his nickname.
Hold on, I'm Googling.
Okay. So speaking of Arch, has he, drawn up an apology yet for,
y'all.
Did you hear that, y'all? That was fantastic. That was a Southern y'all.
That's the Indiana y'all, man. That's
Indiana.
I know, but that's transformed. That was a Southern y'all, I think.
Well, that was
comment. No comment.
Was that because of the Rich Hill nickname or the Chris Archer thing? I was just trying to
the Rich Hill nickname.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, speaking of Chris Archer, I mean, I know he's been gone a couple of years. Has he really kind of settled back into kind of a new role for him? Because when he was with the Rays, he was kind of taking that. When David Price left in that trade to Detroit, it was kind of like all eyes are on Chris Archer to take that number one spot. Has he kind of settled into now he may be a fourth or fifth starter in the rotation? Has he kind of been comfortable with that? Or has he just kind of been like, okay, you know what? I'm going to come in, prove myself to everybody that I'm going to be back to form like I used to be as a Ray.
He's been comfortable with that from the very beginning. And I think one of the things about this Rays front office is that they're very honest with guys, right? They tell them what they expect. And Chris has said from the beginning, whatever the team needs me to do, I will do. Obviously, he views himself as a starter. Every guy does. But I think he's very comfortable with the position that they put him in and however they choose to use him. He has said openly without what we like to call the prompt in an interview, without us prompting him to, he has said over and over again how much more mature he feels that he is now with the Rays than he was last time around. I think that I'll say this. I think that it will benefit him to be in a place where he's familiar with, right?
Okay.
In a place where he's comfortable, because he's the first to admit that those last couple of years in Pittsburgh, riddled with injuries, and he struggled. Those were tough years. Those were not good years for him. And he talks about coming back to the Rays like he's coming back to an old friend. And I think that this environment gives him a chance to thrive, especially at his age, right? It gives him a chance to thrive. And I think he's very comfortable with his role. He's just excited, I think, to be a part of a team that has so much potential too. That's what always comes out in conversations with him, is he's just like, watching them do what they did last year. He's like, now I'm part of that. That's awesome. So I think whatever role he is asked to play, he will happily play.
I'm sure he was looking up from the outside in going, man, I got traded for like 2 superstars and a guy waiting to be a superstar, and Shane Wizard of Oz down in the minors. So I'm sure he's like, yeah, I would love to come back to this.
Of course. Why would he not? And he said this was a big part of it too. That was a big part of it. And he said familiarity with the organization is a big part of it, because, while there has been some turnover, obviously there hasn't been that much turnover in terms of leadership and coaching and everything like that. So I think that he's just happy to be home.
Yeah, he had a lot of good personal relationships here with some of the guys obviously still here, so that's always a good thing. But obviously Choi is going to be out for a couple of weeks, maybe the first month. We're going to go into platoon probably with Diaz. And now Yoshi, this is a guy who's been, I think, 30 at-bats total in 2020 and 2021. So tell us a little bit about him. I haven't really seen him much, haven't really heard much about him. So tell me about the Yoshster and what we're going to get out of him.
Well, last year for Yoshi, let's think about his situation, right? That is a really tough situation. He's coming over. He has so many adjustments to make, not only because the game is a little bit different over here, but also because he's moving from a totally different country to this country. There's cultural adjustments. There's adjustments within the game. There's a language barrier. Then he has to go back home because of the pandemic. Then he comes back and has to try to adjust in what wasn't a spring training at all, just a camp. Like what do we call camp?
Pretty mini camp. You kind of call it, I would guess. I don't know.
Mini camp. But he had to come back, go through camp, and then he had 60 games to try to adjust to not only the culture, moving, a language barrier, and the game's a little bit different here, right? He always talks about how it moves a little bit faster here. That was so hard. And I do not know how anybody expected him to possibly have the season that he's capable of having under those circumstances. This year, he looks so much more comfortable, and he said that he's so much more comfortable. And Cash and Matola and all the guys have said over and over again, we are expecting big things from him because he looks more comfortable. And, when he's out there playing at first because of the whole Choi injury and everything, he's hitting leadoff. He enjoys that. And he's done well in spring at that spot. And I think if what we're seeing in spring from him is even a tiny glimpse of what we're going to see during the regular season, he's going to live up to the hype. Because you remember when I had to sign him, when the Rays signed him, I signed Yoshi Tsutsugi. When the Rays signed Yoshi, there was a lot of hype. Everybody was really excited about it.
There was,
kind of, and I think that maybe this season he's going to live up to that hype. And Yoshi's a really nice. He's a little shy, but he's a really nice guy. So I'm excited to see what he can do. And he's been playing well at first, so I think that's exciting too, to have that option there.
Tricia, when can we see, because this guy's been in the minors for a couple of years now, Wander Franco, who's the number 1 prospect in all of baseball. Willie Adames was on the trade block or trade rumors this past offseason. We all know it's going to be coming eventually. That Wander's going to be coming up either this year, maybe earlier than that, maybe before the All-Star break. Will we see Wander Franco at some point this season?
Gosh, that's the golden question, right? If I had the answer to that,
I know, right?
I don't know. I hope so. I mean, I would imagine we would. I don't know why we wouldn't.
Yes, that's what I think.
I did the other day. I interviewed Chad Matola, Rays hitting coach Chad Matola, about Wander, And one of the things that he said was, I asked him, I said, this is a guy who there's so much hype surrounding him. I said, A, during spring training, has he lived up to that hype? And B, has he let that hype affect him? That's a lot of pressure. People don't realize that being the top prospect in baseball, that's so much pressure. I mean, you can't do any wrong, right? Or else that's going to be the headline. And Chad just said, yeah, he's lived up to the hype and then some. And he said, I've been so impressed with how he has handled that hype because he doesn't let the pressure affect him. And if that's what they're saying during spring training, I would imagine that we might see him at the major league level this season. I hope we do because, oh man, I just feel so bad for those guys for last season. Because you can't help but think, what if they would have had a minor league season, especially, Wander Franco, guys like Joe Ryan, guys like Shea. I mean, everybody, you just feel for them because it took away a year of progression,
right?
A year where we could have seen some debuts. I mean, I feel for them so much. And
well, in a way, it's also good.
They got called up this season.
it's good and bad too because it gives time for guys like Brent Honeywell to get rest because now he's apparently back to 100%. Guys like
we hope so.
I gotta say this too: the guys in the Rays farm system and guys that they have, I think the Rays have the best hair in all of baseball. You've got Honeywell's got some locks. Glasnell's got probably the best hair in all the league. And then Brendan McKay, I think, has got a huge mane now. He looks like a tiger. So I think the Rays have got that going. They should be the new spokespeople for Pantene Pro V.
Tyler was rocking the man bun today, actually. I got a picture sent to me.
Really?
Was it a man bun or just like a ponytail? I don't know what it was, but it was impressive. I think it was Tyler. Yeah, it was impressive.
Impressive mane of hair. Yeah. So let's look at this season as a whole and compare. I want to get your thoughts and you can maybe give me your opinion on this compared to last season's team, which was an abbreviated season, of course. So we're getting like a half of a team here. What do you think about this 2021 Rays team compared to last year? Have they gotten worse, better, or they stayed the same? I'm putting you on the hot seat. I am.
You sure are. But here's the thing. Obviously, like I said earlier, losing Blake Snell and Charlie Morton hurts. And Eric Neander, the Rays GM, said that from the beginning. I remember interviewing him right after that happened on a Zoom press conference. Somebody asked him, I don't remember who it was. It might have been me, I don't know. But somebody asked him, how do you view what you have now, right? Without Blake and without Charlie. And he said, well, we would be silly to say that we're as good as we were. And That's true. That's true. But if you look everywhere else on the roster, there's not a lot of turnover from the World Series roster.
True.
And of course it hurts to lose Charlie and Blake. Absolutely. But they're not desolate. They didn't lose. Who else did they lose? They didn't lose anybody else. I mean, that's it. Yeah. That's who they lost. And I think if they can overcome that from a pitching standpoint, they're going to be just as good. I really do think so. I mean, where else? Where else is the drop off? I mean, seriously, I don't see anywhere else where there's a drop off. And guys like when we saw what guys like Brandon Lau could do in the regular season, obviously the postseason for him was disappointing. That made him so mad what he did in the postseason. These guys while they are very happy with how they did last year and it's something to be celebrated, they're not really talking about last year that much. They're just talking about, we know what we can do. Let's go out and do it again, but do it even better and finish the job. I really think they're going to be just as good this year, if not a little better, honestly. Again, you cannot replace Charlie Morton and Blake Snell. I don't like it when people are like, "Oh, we're fine without them." No, like those guys
That's not true.
No, it's not true. It's not true. But if they can put together a starting pitching rotation, the Rays, like they use openers, they squeeze by, they use their numbers, they use strategy. They've been called the Moneyball team over and over again. They always find a way, and that sounds so cliche, but it's so true. I know they didn't make it past the ALDS in 2019, but they found a way then too to be one of the best teams in baseball. So I think they will this season.
Yeah, I know one more question for me, Al Bushman, and then I'm good. But Glasnow has to step up this year. Obviously, he's kind of wanting to get into that number one role, or maybe not wanting to. He's kind of having to step into that number one role, maybe expected. Tell me what you think. Do you think the team around him, obviously, we've seen him go out before in the first couple of games and get roughed up in an inning or two. Do you think you can see maybe a step forward coming for him, hopefully maturity with a guy like Hill in the locker room, like you alluded to before, saying having that guy is going to be important to him? Do you think he takes that next step and kind of embraces being the number one?
I absolutely do. And one of the reasons that I do is because
his hair will make him a number one all day.
Yep. The Simpson hair. Don't nobody cut his hair. But I do. And you know what's funny is day before yesterday, whatever day it was, Sunday, I did an interview with Tyler, a one-on-one interview about being the opening day starter. And one of the things I like about Tyler is he does use his emotion to his advantage, right? You guys see him on the middle. When he gets mad, it's evident, right?
Yep.
However, he is somewhat even-keeled when it comes to hype, right? So when it comes to being the opening day starter, he's like, yeah, like that's awesome, but it doesn't really change my approach. I'm still going to go out there and do the same thing that I was going to do. And he's been working this spring to add a little bit to his repertoire, right? So he thinks that extra pitch is going to help him a little bit. And I do think he's going to live up to hype. There's a reason why, you'll read a lot of articles that are like, well, could Tyler be a Cy Young candidate at some point? I mean, yeah, I think so. I think that he's ready to, I really don't want to say take that next step because he's already got elite stuff. He's already so good. But is he ready to be in that number one role? Absolutely, without a doubt. And I think that, when I talked to him about being the opening day starter, he's like, this is what I've been working for. Like, I expected this. This is what I wanted. So I do think he's ready. And if you read, there was a great article written by Mark Topkin in the Tampa Bay Times about how Tyler uses his emotions and his anger to his advantage and his benefit. And I think we're going to see a really good version of Tyler Glasnow this season. And like you said, obviously Rich Hill is the veteran in the clubhouse, 41 years old. But Tyler is the guy. He's the guy. I mean, I remember last year, what was it? ALCS, ALDS? I don't remember. World Series. No, it was World Series. Kevin Cash was like, Charlie Morton's the guy we're putting on the mound for game one. Why would we not? He's our guy. We trust him. This year, I think that's going to be Tyler.
Good. Oh, I like the sound of that. That's perfect.
Tricia,
I hope I'm right.
Well, Tricia,
you're guaranteeing that. I'm holding you to that.
Well, Tricia, we want to get you out of here. I know you got to head over to Fergs pretty soon. Are they sending you down to Miami for opening day at all, or are you staying up here in St. Pete?
I will be in Miami, yes, for opening day.
Good.
I'll be distanced from the team, but I will be there doing reports, and I'll be doing that. So when we come home for the Yankees series, I will be able to actually interview some of the guys in person from a distance with the protocols in place. But we've worked that out, and I'm really excited about that. So it'll be similar to spring training where I'll be able to be in person. But on the road, there's a lot of different protocols that go into place because it's not our home. So maybe eventually we'll be on the road. We'll see.
Awesome. Well, Tricia, thanks for coming on the show. You can follow her on Twitter at Tricia Whitaker. We'll see you in a couple of weeks at the home opener for the Rays.
That'll be a good one.
Against the Skankies.
Enjoy opening day, Tricia.
Yep.
You guys too. We'll see you later.
See you, Tricia.
Right. Bye.
Well,
dude, always great to